The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo has been doing its thing since 1932, showcasing generations of agricultural tradition, awarding scholarship money, presenting concerts, hawking Western wear, and offering just about everything imaginable that you could deep fry and put on a stick. At the helm of this enormous annual operation is Chris Boleman. He's an agricultural scientist turned nonprofit CEO. Chris, welcome back to Houston Matters. Good morning.
It's great to be here. It's our annual time together, so looking forward to it.
And I guess we should say up front, while I characterized it as an annual endeavor, the truth is it's a year-round effort.
It is definitely a year-round endeavor with an annual time of March to celebrate, that's for sure. But, yes, we work tirelessly year-round to make sure we can put this on.
What does a nearly century-old institution now look like from the inside? Is it a living, evolving thing, or do you spend a lot of energy kind of protecting what already works?
All the above. I do think everything that we do sticks to the mission, which you highlighted when we started off with. This show started off about promoting agriculture, and we're still there today. Obviously, we've added a lot of other depth and pillars to it as we've grown through the community, but we can never lose sight of our foundation of really promoting agriculture. I say all the time, the countries are the safest are the ones that can feed themselves. And when you live in the fourth largest city in the country, most considered the most diverse, this is our time to tell the story of our food and fiber industry to make sure people really appreciate what the agriculture community does for our folks.
And, of course, that's your background as well. How much does that shape your vision?
Well, there's no question that, from my background and how I was raised, it's really important to me. But I also think that as in serving in this role, it's all about telling the story in a way that's meaningful and that can connect with the audience. And so that's what we do here. As we stay core to our mission, at the same time, you have to be flexible and adaptable to what's going on in the world. I say, what would our seven forefathers that started this show in 1932, what would they say if they looked at it today? Would they recognize it? And I think they would from here we are promoting agriculture in a community like Houston. I think they would be proud of what we are, but they've also seen how we've become more adaptable to meet the needs of our community and to really celebrate our community through our educational commitment, through the utilization of 36,000 volunteers. That's how this engine is powered. And so, I mean, I think, again, you have to be who you are as a nonprofit to your mission, but also understand the community you're in.
All right, well, let's talk about adaptability.
Okay.
And this year, what's different this year that you've had to adapt?
Sure. I think first and foremost, there's a 21st performance. And so that means we start a day earlier. And so because of that changes things and changes the structure and probably is the most impactful thing from an operational point of view when we have the World's Championship barbecue that wrapped up on Saturday, and then we're actually opening on Monday, and then we're ending again with a concert-only performance, which makes us unique. But as you look across the grounds, every year we try to add and adapt and try new things without messing up what we know we do really well, that we know folks want to come out to and they want to be a part of. And so it's always a mixture and balance of that as we go through the year. But no question, I think the uniqueness of this year is the extra day. In
a way, you don't really need to sell things like the concerts. I mean, you do, but you know what I mean. The concerts, to a degree, sell themselves. The food, to a degree, sells itself. The rodeo events themselves, to a degree. So I imagine you spend a lot of time focusing more on things like the scholarships that you hand out. More than 23,000 of them, valued at more than $320 million since 1957. And if I recall correctly from past conversations we've had, the number's been increasing year over year in more recent years, right? The rodeo's raising more towards those scholarships than in the past.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's another place where we are adapting in the moment. And what we've seen, our total giving is $660 million to the youth of Texas since we started. As you mentioned, it's 300 plus in scholarships. Also, we have funds and grants, and then to our 4-H and FFA exhibitors through the auction. But one of the key areas of growth really under our current chairman of the board, Pat Mann-Phillips' time is we've really started to grow in the vocational and workforce space. We know there's a lot of students students that may not be as interested in going to a four-year college or university, but they want training and certification in something. And so we've definitely beefed up our vocational commitment. So if you want to work in HVAC or welding or whatever the electrician, whatever the case may be, we're trying to grow that particular area, which is how really and truly we got to the educational commitment this year. It's the first time we've ever been over 30 million, and that's in large part because of the growth around the vocational.
How do you measure the long-term impact of the funding and the efforts that you just talked about, whether it's training, for vocational training, or really even very early on with 4-H programs?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, from a quantitative point of view, every student that we have on scholarship, we stay in touch with. They become a part of our organization. They become a part of our alumni. So we can follow them. We follow them, obviously, throughout their collegiate career. We've added an achievement scholarship because we also see that as students get to the finish line, sometimes that's where they need a little help compared to the initial give and the scholarship piece. So we're able to definitely follow them. As it relates to 4-H and FFA, which is also, my career background, we work with these students year-round. We work with their county extension agent, their 4-H agent. We work with their FFA advisor, too. And so we like to think that we're a piece of their educational growth. This is for them, a lot of them, this is their Super Bowl, or maybe another analogy, this is their Friday Night Lights when you compare to high school. And so we want to make sure that we're providing programs that are of interest to them. And again, back to adaptability. In addition to showing livestock projects here, which we've always traditionally done, we've grown in a lot of areas where maybe kids in urban areas don't have a space to raise a goat or a pig or a steer. So we've added so many competitions. Our food challenge, Ag Mech is obviously a huge one for us. Industrial craft competition we've added. And so even robotics. And so we continue to, that's how we work with those 4-H and FFA advisors to ensure that what we're providing here can be supported by them. And they bring us new and fresh ideas that the students would want to participate here at the show.
Is that a bit of a cultural challenge? I mean, you think about this is an event rooted in rural and agricultural experiences and culture, and you're talking about kids and adults in many cases who you would want to visit the rodeo who don't have that connection.
Right. Yeah.
And so you want to help provide it, but at the same time, you got to get them through the door in the first place.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's an ongoing, it's what we're trying to do. And you mentioned it earlier that a lot of times our entertainers are the driving force. Those artists are the driving force of why you buy a ticket. But once you come onto the grounds, you experience so much more. And even in our performance, our strategic plan, I should say, we have a measure for first-time attendees. That's critically important to our show. We roughly look at about 17 to 20% of the folks that come on the grounds, they're first-time attendees. We do that through surveys on site and through follow-up. That is really, really important to us because a lot of times folks, particularly coming from the outside, and we have so many new people moving to Houston every day that they don't know exactly what they're coming to. So we want to get them out and get them early, and so they can be a part of it and understand it's much bigger than just a stadium performance. Matter of fact, last year was the first year on record that we had 2.7 million people here, which was a record, but we had more attendance outside the stadium than inside the stadium. And a lot of that goes back to us trying to freshen it up and try different activations outside.
Still, those concerts, that's what draws a lot of people in the first time. So a big part, I imagine, of that success begins with identifying who are the right performers and how do you get them. How does that work?
Yeah, that's another year-round approach. We're already working on the 2027 lineup, and so yes, we have a couple of folks that help us. We have actually a full-time staff of 2 that work tirelessly year-round to book not only the 20 acts, but another couple of hundred across the grounds, including several that are every night here in the Wine Garden. So that's what they do. We do work with a lot of the big agencies that do the touring, that work on tours really in the country and then worldwide. And so we have friends in Nashville, we have friends in LA too, that help us identify who's on tour, who's up and coming. We also have a lot of traditional artists that love coming to our show. The perfect example of that is Tim McGraw. He's such a fan of our show. We've known him for years. He's closing us out before on the finals this year. So it's a combination of finding the up-and-comers like Forrest Frank, one of the top-selling acts this year, with the traditional ones that love us, like Tim McGraw, Chris Stapleton, and those guys. And so you're trying to bring something a little bit for everybody. Rascal Flatts was here last night. Jay Balvin the night before. Two totally different audiences, but hopefully audiences that can come out, enjoy themselves, and appreciate what we're doing here.
You rely on some 35,000 volunteers to pull this off each year. This is an era when volunteerism has been declining nationally. What keeps the culture alive here?
Yeah, and so it's up to 36,000, but that's all
right.
good. And so, it's through the 109 committees. And I think in a community like this, we have a long waiting list of people that want to volunteer, which, as you mentioned, is unique to most organizations. And I think it's because we really build communities within communities. I know what our volunteers would tell you is when you look at the 109 committees, they're kind of their own little community. They work tirelessly year-round, too. This is really the celebration of their hard work throughout the year. So they're meeting ongoing, and they've created their own little culture with, I'd say, each committee is its own living organism out here. And then also, it's generation to generation to generation. I was just talking to a volunteer that just graduated from college. They're in their first or second year as a volunteer in their third generation. So it's a part of the DNA of our community, and it just continues to grow. And obviously, it's connected to our mission. People are very passionate about Western heritage, promoting agriculture, and, of course, supporting education.
We are here in the wine garden. We're in the shadow of the Stuart Lang statue, one of your predecessors from the 1960s. Have you contemplated the possibility, you've been doing this for a while now, that a day will come there might be a statue of you somewhere on these grounds? And if that should ever happen, where would make the most sense?
I don't know. It's not about me. It's about the organization. We were asked the other day, what event do we like the most? And I will tell you, I grew up showing steers and heifers and pigs here. I grew up in College Station. My dad was a College of Ag professor there, and so I'm definitely committed to the agriculture piece of the mission. And I'm not. I think more than anything, I like to be connected to the youth part of the show because that's my background. And for me, I love watching these kids come on and just get the opportunity to do what they do. If it's public speaking, if it's ag mech, if it's showing a goat, I just know the time and effort the kids put into it, and that's what's so meaningful for me.
Chris Boleman is president and CEO of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Chris, thank you very much.
You bet, man. Thank you all for being here and all the support.